Hello, everyone. My name is Cherry Martin, and I am a graduate student at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. Currently, I'm an intern with Scars of the Past Ministry. Today, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about Scars of the Past and the topic of change. So, what exactly is Scars of the Past, and what is the ministry about? Well, SOTP is a Christian based organization that serves sexually abused men and women. They are based out of Beaumont, Texas, but are also registered in Crestview, Florida, and serve survivors online throughout the globe. The ministry slogan is a glimpse of hope. And you may ask, why a glimpse? Why not a whole mountain of hope? Well, the founder, Mrs. Patty Adams, shared with me that as a survivor herself, she understands that sometimes all you can attain is a glimpse. That triggers sometimes come into your life and you takes you right back to that very moment of trauma. So she understands, and the ministry as a whole is cognizant that sometimes it's hard to find that hope or to seek out that hope. Why is the logo a mask? It's a mask because, again, Mrs. Patty Adam understands that sometimes as sexual assault victims, you hide behind a mask, that you are scared to show people your true emotions, that you don't want people to even know that you're a victim or that you're a survivor of abuse. So sometimes it's just easier to hide those things. And in the ministry, the goal is to just help you take off that mask and heal, start that process. So it's a Christian organization. Does that mean that as a atheist or as a person of that practices another religion, you're not welcome to come and join the support group? Absolutely not. Scars of the Past is open to all people of all backgrounds, of all religions, and our goal is just to help you get started on that healing process. So why change? Maybe you feel like everything's perfectly fine. After all, it's been like this for a while. Or maybe you think that change is not possible. But sexual abuse can have lasting effects on an individual that in turn affect not only their daily lives, but their relationship with their family, their friends, and their community. Taking steps towards healing is important to begin to address the problems that you may not even know are associated with your trauma. And the process of healing is different for everyone. What might work for one person may not work for another, but the important thing is to make a conscious decision to begin that journey. A sexual assault victim's perspective is greatly affected by their trauma, and this carries over to their relationships they form and can even cause intergenerational problems. When a person starts to address their trauma, they begin to take steps towards living a healthier life. Before we dive into the stages of change, I'd like to discuss how trauma affects our brain. Although brain processes are much more complex than this image, there's a general understanding that the left and right hemisphere control different tasks. The main takeaway I'd like to discuss are the issues that arise in the brain when a person experiences trauma. The left side of the brain contains the Broca's area. This is the brain's language processing center. The left brain is also associated with positive emotions, while the right side is associated with negative emotions. The left side mainly receives connections from the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest cues, while the right side mainly receives connections from the sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight response in stressful conditions. Brain scans have shown that when remembering traumatic experiences, a patient's left side of the brain shuts down. This suggests that a person's language, logical thinking, and analytical reasoning are severely impaired when remembering these experiences. And on the other hand, the scans show that the right side of the brain and the amygdala light up. The amygdala is our brain's fear center, and the right side contains pictures of our memories. So when you experience a trigger, you're thinking about those traumatic experiences, it's like hitting play to a slideshow. If you've ever wondered, why can't you just forget these memories? Well, you're not alone, and trauma really disrupts our brains. The Trans-Theoretical Model, or TTM, is an evidence-based model that has been applied successfully to a variety of populations, settings, and behaviors. It is a biopsychosocial model, which basically means that there are biological, psychological, and social factors that affect the process of achieving wellness through intentional behavior change. So the first construct in the TTM is the stages of change, which is the focus of this presentation. Let's delve into what this color wheel represents. The stages of change is based on the idea that individuals go through stages as they modify their behavior. The stages include pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance. People don't always cycle through these stages in order, and they might recycle through them or even regress back to previous stages. It is also an upward spiral, meaning that each time a person cycles through it, they learn and they grow stronger. Each stage depicts a certain level of attitude and action for behavior change. And sometimes a trauma cycle can keep individuals from truly healing. A person might be in the maintenance stage and they get triggered and revert back to previous coping mechanisms. So let's zoom into the first stage. During the pre-contemplation stage, survivors of sexual abuse may not understand that some of their psychological and behavioral problems are due to previous trauma. They may also not want to accept or share that they were sexually abused due to social perception or shame. They may even minimize their problem or self-blame. If you find yourself in this stage, it's okay, and we just want you to self-evaluate. So ask yourself if your actions are healthy. Do you have suicidal ideations? Do you resort to substance abuse to forget? Do you have difficulty with romantic relationship? Is your parenting affected by your previous trauma? Ultimately, the decision is yours to find healing. But if any of your answers were yes, then we'd encourage you to seek support. During the contemplation stage, survivors have accepted that there's a problem and they've decided to take steps towards change. They may still be on the fence, but are open to exploring options and begin to talk about their experience. At this state, you're able to analyze pros and cons about seeking ways to heal. You begin to ask questions like, why am I reacting this way? How can I stop reacting this way? Fear may be the biggest obstacle keeping you in this stage. And there's nothing wrong with being in this stage. Deciding to share your experience is a big step. You make yourself very vulnerable in those situations, whether it's with family or strangers. In the preparation stage, survivors are ready to start the process in about a month. They've looked into support groups, therapy, counseling. They've even set up their first appointment. Maybe they've started talking to family members about it. They've reported their offense to law enforcement. It may be difficult to get past this stage. They may have been through it before and regressed. They may still be fearful of judgment or being stigmatized due to any mental health issues they're dealing with, and they may not know where to start. But one simple step, like attending your first support group, even if it's just to listen, is a great way to get started. Survivors in the action stage have been practicing their new behavior for about 3 to 6 months. They've already attended counseling sessions or therapy sessions. They began attending support groups. They're open about discussing their traumatic experiences with others. And they're actively working with the police, perhaps if they've reported the offense or taken legal action towards their abuser. During this stage, it's important to build a strong support group. It's normal to continue to have bad days. It's a work in progress. Establishing a routine is very important in this stage. Survivors in the maintenance stage have been committed to change for months and even years. Their entire attitudes may have changed. They are able to maintain healthy relationship, and they understand that maintenance is a process and something that they continually have to work on. They've developed skills that reduce their chances of revictimization and succumbing to old coping mechanisms. And even at this stage, it's normal to experience symptoms of trauma that include depression, anxiety, nightmares, flashbacks, re-experiencing painful physical and emotional feelings, inability to focus, intense fear, excessive watchfulness, and many other symptoms. But it's important that during this stage, support groups offer helpful information, provide accurate feedback, and establish and maintain trusting relationship with the survivors. Support groups and professionals must be able to teach, model, practice, and reinforce behavioral techniques such as positive reinforcement, stimulus control, and self liberation techniques. There needs to be further testing on the trans-theoretical model as it applies to the sexually abused. There has been a lot of research on its efficacy, but there's very limited research when applying it to victims of sexual abuse. I'd just like to stress that the healing process is an ongoing cycle. Traumatic experiences have a devastating and lasting effect. It may be 20 years since the assault, and all of a sudden you walk into a store and someone reminds you of your assailant, or it might have been the assailant themselves, and all of a sudden you're back to that point in your life, and one trigger, one split second makes you shut down. You fall back into depression, or you pick up the bottle, whatever the coping mechanism may be. And that's okay. We understand that it's not easy, but we're here to support you at whatever stage you find yourself. I hope that you have found this information useful. Again, Scars of the Past is here to support you in any stage that you may be in and in any way that we can. If you found the information useful, please follow us on Facebook or subscribe to our YouTube channel. Finally, here is a list of resources that were used during this presentation. Have a blessed day.